Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Culture Shock, the show where 2 plus 2 indeed equals 4, if you didn't know. If you're trying to change this simple logic because white power or some other bullshit like that. I am your host, Will at Heroic Studios, and I'm bringing you a special Sunday edition of Culture Shock. Now, there's a lot of things I want to talk about, but mainly I kind of want to give you guys an update on the whole George Floyd newly video cam or body cam release. Now, if you watch my last video about Joe Biden and how no one knows what his politics are or what his policies are going to be, I kind of mentioned at the last minute of the video that body cam footage of George Floyd's arrest was released, and no one seems to be really talking about it. So I think that footage came out maybe on Tuesday, maybe Monday, not really sure. I was going to do a video on it a lot sooner than today, but I decided to kind of wait on that and see kind of where things were flowing. But it's been almost a week and no one's really talking about it. So I'm going to talk about it. All right. But before we get started, I just want you guys to go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. Apparently, I've been shadow banned on Twitter. Apparently, a lot of my followers have been shadow banned on Twitter. This video might get flagged, so I don't really know, but I hope you guys do enjoy this channel and my content. There is a podcast being worked on at the moment too, so please be patient. I should have that up within the next week or so. All right, now to the main event. So if you did not catch it, body cam footage of George Floyd's arrest kind of came to surface. It was leaked. It wasn't really an official release. It was actually leaked. I forgot who leaked it, but around the time George Floyd died, I tweeted out on Twitter, and I couldn't find the tweet, but I know I said something along the lines of, I'm going to wait for all the facts to come out because there's more to the story than what the media is telling us. I mean, they said that Derek Chauvin pulled this dude out of a car, kneeled on him for 9 minutes, and then George Floyd died. And I'm like, well, what led up to this altercation? What happened? What was the whole entire context of this entire encounter? And by saying that on Twitter, you know, May went by, and in June, being called racist, Uncle Tom, go kill yourself. There's all these people coming at me over that one tweet over the course of 2 months. And wouldn't you know it, Lord and behold, August, beginning of August, body cam footage emerges of the entire altercation, telling a slightly different story than what we've been fed. So now keep in mind that cities have been destroyed, cities have been trashed, people have died on the rhetoric and the narrative that the media has been portraying, that all police are bad, defund the police, blah, blah, blah. All these people who have been victims of rioting and all this destruction have been people like me, Black people. So Black Lives Matter? I don't think so, because this has nothing to do with Black lives. It never did, it never had, and it never will, all right? So this body cam footage was released or leaked. Everyone watched it, and again, I am not justifying the actions of the officers. No way, shape, or form. I think that they should all be tried. They should all have a trial, and they should get some type of punishment for sure. But the media spun a slightly different story. They tried to make race a factor, which I don't even know if that is still sticking to the narrative or not. That Derek Chauvin was racist. The 4 police officers who were there were racist. Not even bringing up the fact that I think one of them was actually Asian. So no one's really talking about that. But instead of the media coming out with all the facts, they quickly jumped to the conclusions that these cops are racist and they killed George Floyd because he was Black, police brutality, yada, yada, yada. And that led to all the riots and destruction, the protests in Minneapolis and various cities across the country. So isn't it kind of funny that, once all the destruction and all the mayhem has already been done, you get the actual real story that no one seems to be talking about. But, that's how the media has done things. They've done it with Trayvon Martin. They did it with Michael Brown. They did it with Rayshard Brooks. And now they did it with George Floyd. So, again, I don't trust the media, especially mainstream media. I got attacked on Twitter for saying that I get all my news from Twitter, and that's not necessarily true. I get the other side of the stories from Twitter, the story that the media doesn't want to tell you. And if you're smart, you wouldn't take what the media tells you at face value, because the last 4 years of the media's orange man bad rhetoric and it's Trump's fault for everything that's going on in the country, not true. If you get the other side of the story, you will begin to realize that that kind of makes sense. why some of the stuff is happening in our country. But aside from all that, Derek Chauvin and those officers were arrested. The officers who stood by, I think they were charged with aiding and abetting or something like that, accomplices. But Derek Chauvin was arrested, and they were trying, or I don't know if they are still trying, but they are trying to stick him with second-degree murder. Here's the thing. Same thing with George Zimmerman. They tried to get George Zimmerman on, I think, first-degree murder. I could be wrong. And because they tried to charge him with that, the evidence did not fit the charges, and George Zimmerman walked. Now, when you look at the body cam footage of what happened during George Floyd's altercation, they told him numerous times, do not resist. They told him numerous times to kind of calm down. And honestly, the officers were very nice, okay? Despite what the media has been saying, the officers were very polite and kind. In the beginning of the video, yes, one of the officers did have his gun out, but that was because he could not see George Floyd's hands. You don't know. George Floyd had a gun. So that is standard operating procedure for most police. If you can't see the hands, you know, you want to protect yourself first. What we weren't also told is that there were other people in the car with George Floyd. There were, but the media didn't tell you that. They actually stood by. The people who were in the car with Floyd, they stood by and watched this all go down. So again, we have body cam footage of what happened, right? I mean, I think it's all common knowledge now that police wear body cams just to kind of protect themselves and to get the whole story out there. But instead, when this story dropped, we got a bystander's recording of the whole situation. That don't scream kind of like bias to you? Like if there was a police shooting, police kill somebody, wouldn't the media immediately go to, hey, where's the body cam footage? Let's check this out before we jump to conclusions here. But no. We're going to take the recording of a bystander who was standing by watching this whole thing goes down 8 minutes in. This is an entire 8 minutes of Derek Chauvin kneeling on Floyd's neck, okay? Now, the body cam footage is well over 30 minutes, the entire altercation. But we only got 8 minutes of that altercation in the beginning, back in May, when it all went down. We ended up getting 30 minutes of body cam footage that kind of dictate. Now, again, it's not pleasant to watch the body cam footage. Some of it is sort of disturbing, but the autopsy back in May said that Floyd had a lethal amount of fentanyl in his system, maybe some meth. He was not cognitive at the time, so he wasn't in his right mind. He was freaking out, and that freak out could actually have aggravated him saying he cannot breathe when Chauvin was on his neck. Now, in the video with the body cam footage, Floyd clearly says he can't breathe due to claustrophobia, and I completely understand it. I'm slightly claustrophobic too. It's not fun. But if drugs were in his system, that could have aggravated him not being able to breathe. So actually, if they want to do a second investigation, they can come to the conclusion that it was not Derek Chauvin who ended up killing Floyd. It could have been the results of him having a lethal amount of drugs in his system. Now, if that's true, and prosecutors try to get Chauvin on second-degree murder, I can already tell you guys right now that that dude is going to walk. Should he walk? No. What he should be is charged with assault, because that's what it was. It was assault. It was unnecessary assault, overkill of assault. He should be charged with assault because that will stick and Chauvin will be put away in jail. But I can already tell you right now that because of Black Lives Matter and defund the police and Orange Man Bad, that they're going to try and stick him with second-degree murder. And already with this body cam footage, the evidence doesn't seem to match up here. So y'all going to be mad when Chauvin and those other officers walk free getting away with murder. So again, media at its best. Give us the full story after the damage has been done. It is really quite sad, but I hope justice will be served, but I don't really have any much hope for anything at this point when it comes to the media, because Michael Brown shooters, that cop was exonerated. George Zimmerman walked. The officers involved in the Rayshard Brooks, even though that was a justified shooting, they walked. So I don't really know what to tell you. You guys are trying to pin a crime that doesn't really fit the evidence, and that's not good. Prosecutors will tell you, lawyers who studied the law will tell you that if they do go ahead and try and charge Chauvin with second-degree murder, it's not gonna stick. Maybe manslaughter, which maybe that's third-degree murder. Not really sure. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. But second-degree murder is probably not the way to go. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. In other news, folks, Oprah has been in the news, and instead of using her wealth to kind of inspire a generation to be better, she's actually making white people feel a little guilty about their white privilege, which, come on, Oprah, come on. Let's be real. You come from an unprecedented past of just impoverished circumstances. You were dirt poor. You had a horrible history, horrible childhood, and somehow through all of the adversity you faced, you are worth $2.6 billion in 2020. So instead of inspiring people to kind of get it in their heads that it doesn't matter your circumstances at the moment, that you can be something in this great country we like to call America, you want to go ahead and make white people feel guilty of their white privilege and white guilt. I mean, you could do so much. You can go ahead and inspire an entire generation to be better, and you've done that in the past. Why the backtrack? Why the backtrack? I mean, it's no coincidence that you wrote a book and now you're all in the news promoting that book about white people and their white privilege. But I mean, come on. To kind of go along with this, I've been watching The Umbrella Academy Season 2, and Allison Hargreaves, I mean, she's in 1960s Dallas, which pre-civil rights is not a place to be if you're black. Pretty racist. So I'm literally surprised that the left hasn't tried to cancel this show yet. I was against the show because Ellen Page is on the show, and I don't like her politics, but I've learned to separate the actors and actresses from the art. Just enjoy the art. You don't necessarily have to like or agree with any of the actors or actresses. They have their own opinions. They're free to express them. Fine. But I've learned that, this is a very good show. I like it. I'm watching it right now. It's on pause, but you got to learn to separate the actors and the creators from the art, the actors and actresses from the art, and just enjoy the show for what it is. Allison is living in 1960s Dallas, and she is experiencing the most racist time in American history, because this is pre-civil rights. This is right before civil rights have been, with the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed. So people in 2020 who are claiming that it is as racist as it is today as it was back then, I promise you, if they were to go back in time and check this out and live in that era, they would not survive. They would not know what to do. Because honestly, folks, you guys, everybody in 2020, including myself, we're all privileged. Our ancestors went through this horrific ordeal to get us the civil rights that they knew that we deserved, only to go back fucking 60 years and say that none of that happened. You know how much you're invalidating your ancestors and people who fought for civil rights? Come on, people. Let's be real about this. And most of it is just white liberals going around saying, I'm guilty of this, even though I didn't do anything. Does that make sense to you? It don't make sense to me. Listen, if you're a white liberal and you're looking at me saying that I should be oppressed, that is actually true racism right there. Because I don't feel oppressed. I don't think anybody who's in my skin color, darker or lighter, who's also black, should feel oppressed. But this whole narrative that if you're black in America in 2020, you should feel oppressed, is just complete nonsense. And it should just be done away with, which is why a lot more black people are just waking up to this fact that, no, going back to pre-civil rights era is pretty bad. It's pretty bad, to say the least. And I love how they're portraying that, especially during a time right now. I'm so fucking surprised that they have actually let this season air, because everything dealing with pre-civil rights era is slowly being washed away. It's slowly being erased. They don't want anything to deal with black people being oppressed in history or in the present, because let's be real, it teaches us a lesson. It teaches us that, this is history, to be appreciative of what happened. Otherwise, we could be sitting in a very different boat right now had it not happened. So with that being said, folks, I'm actually not sponsored for this video, but go watch season 2 of The Umbrella Academy. And Oprah Winfrey, please shut up. I'm sorry. You're one of my favorite people. I'm not gonna lie. If you still had a show, I would be very, very eager to get on your show, or even do an interview, even sit down with you. But please, instead of using your power and wealth to further push the narrative that white people are privileged and black people are not, you're not helping anybody. You're just pushing the narrative that if you have a certain skin color in America, you don't have a certain advantage as those with another skin color in America. And by definition, it's pretty racist. So please just stop. Racism works both ways. You can go back and forth, but there's only one kind of racism, and that is the superiority of one race over another. Period. There's no in between. There's no change in the goalpost. There's no change in the definition of what that really means. Doesn't matter who do it or who does it. Racism is racism. Whether it's white on black, black on white, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. This whole notion that, oh, black people can't be racist because we don't have the power. Shut the fuck up. Just shut up. You sound stupid. Just stop. All right, folks, that's all I got for you for today. I hope you guys do enjoy your week. Remember, tomorrow is Monday. Get ready to see some wild shit, because that's what happens all the time in our society today. Things have been really quiet lately in terms of politics and culture. So I'm really expecting to see something wild go down. Yeah. Anyways, like and subscribe to the channel, guys. I will keep on bringing you guys more content and exposing the absolute sheer craziness of our culture in 2020. So please subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Have a good week, and adios.